What is happening, everyone? It is your host of Locked On Spartans, Matt Sheehan, and thank you so much for joining us here on tonight's show. We are recording right now, Saturday evening. This is just mere hours after, the Michigan State season is officially over. Yes, that whole 5-7 bowl games thing will not be happening unless something crazy happens or a bunch of teams, for some reason, say no to bowl games. But yes, this is the post-mortem of the season, and I am ashamed to admit it. I feel dirty admitting it. I feel like a fraud admitting it. And look, I like to think of myself as a big Michigan State fan. Love this team. Love the program. Love the school. I love you guys, the whole Spartan family. But I'm not sure if I could have stomached just watching one more series of this season, to be honest. It is all put to bed. The season is out of its misery. Yes, of course, if they made the Cure Bowl or the Myrtle Beach Bowl or the Serve Pro Bowl, whatever, I would have watched every single minute like the idiot that I am. But we can all move on with our lives right now, or basketball season, depending on how healthy of a lifestyle you want to live. But yeah, it's over, and we got to talk about it. 5-7 on the year. And before we get into the nitty gritty, the dirty, grimy stuff that no one wants to talk about, my thoughts immediately go to these players, top to bottom, freshmen to guys that seem like they're ninth year seniors. And I especially do really think about and feel bad for guys that did not have to come back, but opted to anyway, like Xavier Henderson, Jaden Reed. I'm sure I'm missing some other players. Maybe some other players behind the scenes weren't sure if they were going to come back, but end up doing so. And I just feel awful that this is what they came back for. A season that, after a Peach Bowl year, had a lot of hype going into it. You start the season rated, well, we thought rightfully so, in the top 20. To fizzle out and go 5-7, but also too, like the two guys I just mentioned, Reed and Henderson, dealing with their injury issues throughout the season as well. Look, clowns like me, just mere fans on the sidelines. We feel awful about the season. We have a horrible taste in our mouths. I mean, I've lost more sleep than I'm willing to admit on a silly little game played by college kids. But yeah, you got to think about the college kids right now, and I think a lot of us do that, no doubt about it. But as disappointed as we are, I just wanted to take the first minute or two to recognize, the kids that are actually putting the work and the guys waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning in the summer during the season, grinding away. So with that said, let's get into the year. And I'm sorry if you're looking for a full game recap. We might get a little into it in the second segment. I just think that it's more important to talk about the whole season because this game was nothing that you haven't seen before this year. It was just more of the same, and unfortunately against a pretty good team in Penn State. And, one more note about these kids actually is I also think about Henderson and Reed and other guys too, like Slade, for example, a lot of these older players. And they ain't going to be here next year. And that already gives me the spooky season for what's about to come the next few months. Every offseason in college football is a big offseason. It doesn't matter how great of a program you are or how downtrodden of a program you are. Every offseason is a big offseason, but man, the vibe going into this offseason is woefully different than it was last year. Coming off the Peach Bowl, we got all these recruits going on. Life is so good. And now it's like, well, who's on the chopping block right now? And holy crap, that signing day going on in December. Is this class going to stay intact? And are we really sure that this is going to work out long term? Because let's get into what happened this season now. We walked into this season, I think the majority of us, I'll speak for the majority right here because I think I got a good pulse on this. A lot of us were insanely optimistic going into this season, the direction of the program and everything like that. And here we are. This season, I was going to say literally couldn't have gone worse, but okay, you could have gone 0-12. Okay, it could have been a lot worse. But how about this? This season went unimaginably bad. And I'm talking like before the season, never did I think that this would be where we are at the end of week 13 talking about not a bowl game, great performances in the Penn State game, going 0 for 3 against that top tier in the Big Ten East that you wanted to compete with still, not even doing well in that middle tier. You lost to Maryland, and now you're here in the bottom tier of the Big Ten East with Indiana, the team you lost to, the team you're up 17 points against. I'm still couldn't close out, and Rutgers, which, yeah, you beat them. Awesome. That'll be a great video to play at the end of the year banquet, but that is not even what, I'm sorry, that wasn't even on my radar going into the season. That coming off the Peach Bowl with some senior players that you feel pretty good about just going this bad. And of course, yes, I get it. Okay. All right. You're probably already thinking it. Well, there are a lot of injuries. They went the last 4 weeks of the season without having to tackle in practice because so many players were just dead. And the body count was so low that they couldn't afford any other injuries. And yes, the talent gap was there. Last year was kind of a mirage of sorts with Kenneth Walker saving us throughout the season. I get all that. I 100% get all of that. But man, you're telling me the talent gap is that big with a team like Indiana. And yes, I'm still hung up in that game. A part of me died last Saturday. I have not been right ever since last Saturday. That was the hardest I've taken a loss since maybe 2006 against Notre Dame. But yeah, this was a season that was awful. And that's why I just can't even bear to think of watching another second of a bowl game. But here we are. And there are going to be a lot of storylines going into this offseason. No doubt about that, which we will get into in the second segment here. But yeah, you walk into the season after the Peach Bowl feeling really good. And there was a listener before the season that reached out. And I'm so sorry, I forgot this gentleman's name, but he reached out and said, hey, give me the record of the season where you'd be ecstatic. Give me the one where you'd be, okay, that was fine. And give me one that you would start to be really concerned about this program moving forward. And, that great season, obviously double-digit wins, 10 wins just like last season. Okay, things are going fine. I said go 8-4, 9-3, maybe even 7-5. But if you have a good signing day in December, like the future of the program, feeling pretty good about it. And I set the bar, what I thought was pretty low in the basement, saying 6-6. But if you still have like a top 25 recruiting class, look, it's not great. I'm not going to feel good about it in the moment. But looking back, you'd be like, okay, yeah, that's okay. Couldn't even really get there. And again, the injuries and yada yada. However, when I answered that question too, I said it's also going to be how you lose these games as well and who you lose to. I didn't necessarily have a 30-point home walloping against Minnesota on my radar. I didn't have losing that badly to Maryland on my radar. And what really hurts the confidence level of this thing moving forward is what happened last Saturday against Indiana. And look, it wasn't just a one-off sample size of a late game meltdown, just a complete collapse at the end of the game at home on senior night to clinch a bowl bid. No, because you also saw coaching gaffes made the Illinois game, the Wisconsin game, but against all odds, the players actually, despite the coaches trying to screw it up, they still got out and won. So yes, like that was also concerning as well, that it wasn't just talent gap all the time. You couldn't blame talent gap for every single loss this team had this season. Sometimes it was the people standing on the sidelines. And yes, of course, I don't think the whole staff is going to stay, and we're going to get to that storyline and more in a hot segment. First, I just need to talk your ear off about Simply Safe. Did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? That's why our friends at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can help feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order your Simply Safe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Did you know that Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report for a third straight year? That's right. That is a three-peat for Simply Safe. And their 24/7 professional monitoring service costs less than $1 a day. That is less than half the price of ADT's traditional, professionally installed system. So don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off your new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/Locked Locked On College. That's right. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege. There's no safe like Simply Safe. And before getting to the second segment of just continuing to talk about the season, the offseason coming up, oh boy, hey, thank you so much for making us your first listen or watch every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And there's no shortage of storylines here going into this offseason. And right now, it's a three-way tie for first place, I think. And who I'm going to give 1A to has to be what's going to go on with the coaching staff this offseason. And, well, no bowl games. We'll see what coach was pinned to what recruit, because maybe if you let go of the wrong guy, then you'll lose two guys in the recruiting trip. Anyway you slice it, there's a lot of nuance that we're not going to get into, but that's got to be 1A is what happens to the assistant coaches right here. Mel Tucker, given one of the richest assistant coaching pools in the nation, should be able to compete. I'm not saying he could go shopping for any job, like pull out Georgia's defensive coordinator from Athens or anything like that, but you can get solid guys with the money. And these guys are making solid money right now. The difference is that, well, I'm going to tell you all a tale of what happened in 2020. This thing called COVID happened, and you know where I'm going with this. He had to make a lot of these hires in February after the dust settled on a lot of the coaching carousel. So maybe that this could be a good opportunity for open season to find some strong assistants. And no, I'm not just talking about offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, even just position coaches as well, strong recruiters, because Lord knows you need strong recruiting if you're going to try to nab kids when you're not even playing in a bowl game. So yes, hey, don't go to that 10-win school, that 11-win school that's trying to get you down there. Come up here to sunny East Lansing where we're not playing it. You're going to need strong recruiting. All right? Like, yeah, the NIL thing, hopefully one day will help if that ever gets going into gear. So, but on top of that, you need strong recruiting as well. So, and of course, it's not just off the field stuff. We cried up and down this season about what we saw on the field as well. You also want that person to be competent in that area as well. Special teams coach, we might be talking directly to you. Who's to say? Who's to say? I don't know. But yeah, that is going to be 1A of the biggest storyline going into the season. Number 1B is what's going on National Signing Day. Yes, you have more 4-stars in a single class than you've ever had in Michigan State's program history. But like everything I just said, this was optically not a great season. But also, hey, with conversations that we've had with recruiting analysts on this show, they actually say that the record at the end of the season doesn't really dictate as much of a kid decision as maybe us outsiders think. For example, like, no, just because a team goes 6-6 or 4-8 or whatever, like, doesn't actually waver them as much, because what they really put up top of their priority list is coaching, how long they're going to be there. Are you going to be sure that your coaches that you just commit to are going to be there for the 3, 4, 5 years that you're there for? So that's up there as well. But still, at the end of the day, let's not act like this isn't kind of a blemish in a way. So you just got to hope that the kids that are committed verbally to Michigan State right now have not put a lot of stock in the record this season. So can you still build in that class? Yes, there's the pipe dreams out there too. Like, can we flip Dante Moore from Oregon, because Oregon's offensive coordinator is leaving for Arizona State to be their head coach? So is that open season now for the Detroit Martin Luther King 5-star product? Who knows? And then number 1C, sorry, I'm already getting mixed up in my head. Number 1C storyline heading into this offseason. Look, I get it. Okay, the quarterback can't win you games or lose you games, or I don't know what everyone keeps saying, or like quarterback wins and losses aren't a step. That's the most important position on the field. All right, hard stop there. Quarterback is the most important position on the field. What is going to happen with Payton Thorne in the offseason? And I will throw my hand up. Hey, look, sometimes I nail takes. And well, you guys know this too. Sometimes I do the exact opposite of nailing takes. And this season, I'm just going to hope that everyone doesn't remember the episodes before the season, early in the season, where I said that this is probably Payton's last year because I think he's going to play himself in the NFL draft. I think he's going to be a strong day 2, maybe day 3 guy. And that's not necessarily what happened this season. But yes, that is 1C on my hierarchy of top storylines going into this offseason is what's going to happen with Payton Thorne, because of course he can come back next season. Will he, though? And is this the hard conversation that the coaching staff is going to have with Payton Thorne? And I'm going to say this right now. I have no insight whatsoever. I don't have any inside baseball. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I will have some and kind of sneak it in there and coded language during these episodes, but this is not one of these times. I don't know the staff's opinion on him, but it is going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. Is he going to be encouraged to go elsewhere, I guess, for lack of a better term? It's not like Mel is stranger to processing any kid out of here, but oh boy, would it be something seismic to maybe scoot your quarterback out here. And it's crazy to say it too, right? About a kid that set a program record for touchdown passes last season. But however, I don't think I'm off base with this comment here. I think we saw the ceiling for Payton Thorne so far in his career. I think we've hit it, and it was fine. It got the job done last year, and I think a lot of that too was aided also by Kenneth Walker, and also too on the flip side, not to totally bury the kid, the whole season's not his fault either. The whole offense is not his fault either. Hell, just take today's Penn State game. Payton Thorne probably sprinted for a total of 9.5 miles today. Kid was running for his life the entire game. He saw Nittany Lion jerseys around him more than he saw State jerseys around it. It was just a barrage of pressure. And there were games throughout the season like that as well. But still, there were spots here and there that were just like, okay, it would be desirable to have maybe a guy with a higher ceiling over there. And you got the younger kids too. And I'm sorry, I should say younger kid in Payton Hauser, the 4-star from California, true freshman this year, really got, we'll call it no playing time this year. Yeah, he had a few snaps against Akron. That was fun, but no, it's going to be fascinating to see if the coaching staff wants to flip the page, start to get the guy they recruited involved in the offense sooner than later, or if Payton does stick around. And okay, if Payton sticks around, Payton Hauser really want to hang around for another year before getting a start? Or what do the other offensive weapons want to do? That is going to be fascinating going up. So yes, between the coaching carousel, signing day coming up in December, and then what happens with Payton Thorne, you could take your pick for the biggest storyline going into this offseason. If you have any other storylines that I've completely missed, if you're listening on YouTube right now, comment below, or if email is more your speed, lockedonspartans@gmail.com. We got a lot of conversation going on in that email inbox, especially after last Saturday's game, and a lot of people want to talk about the game itself or whatever. People want to talk about my reaction after the game. I lost my mind after that game. I'm sorry, I'm not proud of it. I really let my emotions get the best of me, but I also don't take anything back of what I said. And I got heated too because, well, what grinded my gears last week, of course, the game was horrible. You never want to blow a 17-point lead at home, but it was just the lack of accountability after the game. But anyway, not to rehash all that. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com is the place to find us. So yeah, any storylines, any questions you want to hit up, we might just do like a fan postseason press conference. So AKA, that's a fun word or a fun phrase to put in place of mailbag. So yeah, we'll do a mailbag soon with questions about this season. Hit us up, lockedonspartans@gmail.com, or comment below on YouTube. Now, really quick before we say goodbye to talking about football, this week's thrilling moment in college football is brought to you by Nissan. The thrilling designs behind the new lineup from Nissan are intended to empower drivers in vehicles as capable as the drivers themselves. When I think of unbelievable abilities on the field for this week's thrilling moment, it has to, sorry, I can't not laugh during this segment. Oh man, this cannot be what Nissan had in mind. Every week we got to pick out a great play and talk about it. This must be a sweet segment for any team and their host is watching their team go to a bowl game. All right, Matt, focus, batten on the hatches. Come on. Mr. Nissan wants to make this one count. All right. When I think of an unbelievable ability on the field for this week's thrilling moment, it has to be Jack Stone's 51-yard field goal, and I'm watching that thing sail through the uprights being like, that's the only good thing that happened this half, and I can't be happy about it, because why am I watching this kid pipe a 51-yard field goal on the road just with stones? And I'm watching other weeks where we're missing 23-yard field goals to win the game with another kicker. So, yeah, you want a thrilling moment. That was your thrilling moment. Great kick by Jack Stone. You talk about the epitome of too little, too late in the season. How about that right there from Michigan State special teams? Also, hey, Malik Carr's touchdown catch was pretty sick. Good to see him grab that ball. So there you have it. This segment, that's right, has been inspired by the thrilling new designs featured across Nissan's new lineup of vehicles. Pursue what thrills you in the all-new Frontier, Armada, or Pathfinder today. Available now at nissanusa.com.